Flack math! Give me some math and I'll give you some flack. Flack math!
Okay, so let's say the average of three numbers is 17. Okay, so try to visualize three numbers and then their average is 17. Do you know anything about the numbers?
No.
No, but what can you tell me about those three numbers?
They're probably around 17.
Yeah, they probably all kind of gather around 17. They don't have to. One could be like 100, right? But they just have to average the 17. So what else can you tell me about those three numbers? Anything?
There's three of them.
There's three of them. Yeah, Grace? They could be. They could all actually be 17, right? Because the average of three 17s is 17, right? But what else do you know about these three numbers?
You can't eat
Can't eat, well,
them.
if you're a 7, you can. 7 likes to eat numbers.
Yeah.
Can anyone tell me anything else about these three numbers? If the average is 17, what can you tell me?
The average is odd. It's an odd number.
Yeah, because 17 is odd. So you don't know the three numbers, but you do know the average, which means you know what they add up to.
Mm-hmm.
Because what are they going to add up to? Can anyone do that backwards math?
Wait. 17.
So 17 is what you get after you divide by 3.
17 plus 17.
Yep, so 17 times 3 is 51.
Yeah.
So if you know the average of three numbers, then you can figure out their sum. Because you just add it, you just multiply the average times the number of numbers. Okay, so for all intents and purposes, you could say, well, let's just say all three numbers are 17. Because the average of three 17s is still 17, right? So you could just add 17 plus 17 plus 17, all right? So if the average of three numbers is 17, that means the sum divided by the number equals 17, or by 3 equals 17. So see how you can figure out the sum, right? 17 times 3 equals sum. So sum equals 17 times 3, which is 51. So this is an important thing for you to know when we do these more advanced algebra problems, or not algebra, but average problems. I mean, it technically is algebra as well. Okay, so let's go back here in a second. Let's say, here's an example. Average of four numbers is 25. Okay? Well, first of all, what does that tell you? What do you know about these four numbers, Grady?
I just did math in my head. It adds up to 100.
Yeah, how'd you get that?
Just 4 times 25.
Right, so you know the sum divided by 4 has to equal 25. So what's the sum have to equal? 100. You see that? Okay, so this is what the problem is going to ask you. It's not going to say what's the sum. It's going to say the first three numbers are 16, 26, and 30. So you have to find the fourth. What is the fourth number? So how do you do that? Adeline?
You add them all up and
Uh-huh.
you subtract the sum by 100.
Good. So it has to, all of this has to equal 100, right? So what number do you have to add to these? Well, figure out what this is. What is that? 42 plus 30, 72 plus something equals 100. So what is that something? What is it?
28.
28. Boom. You can always test it by finding the average of these four numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. They should all add up to 100. Divide by 4, you get 25. Okay? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit of backwards thinking. And this is what I was talking about. When we get into more algebra, algebra is what you've been doing since kindergarten. So all math is algebra. But algebra class is when we start writing things down with variables and things. So algebra class is more backwards thinking. So it's like they give you the answer and you have to figure out the question. Okay? That happens a lot in algebra, that kind of thinking. All right, so let's try one more example and then we'll move on to 56, okay? Let's say, let me just write the example right here. You ready? So after 4 tests, Grady's average, I'm just using Grady as an example. This isn't his actual test average. Grady's average was 89%, which is higher than that, I think. Unless he bombed his test, you never know. Did you ever upload a new copy?
I think I did.
Okay.
I think I did like a week ago.
Okay, good. So Grady's average was 89% after 4 tests. So he needs an average of 90. He wants to get an A in the class, right? So what does he need on his 5th test? So what grade does he need on his fifth test? What grade does he need on his 5th test? Fifth test to get a 90. Okay, so this is a little bit more complicated, but how many numbers are we going to try to average?
5.
5. And so that average of the 5 numbers has to be what? 90. Okay, so this is the same kind of problem. So how can we figure this out? Any ideas? Kiara?
You add them all up together and subtract them from 90.
Okay, so if you subtract them from 90, you're going to get a big, big negative number. Okay, what do you subtract them from? Not 5. Nope. Okay, so the average of the 5 tests has to be 90, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do all the 5 tests have to add up to?
Can't you just divide 90 by 5?
Well, if you divide 90 by 5, you get 20, and you get 18.
Oh, that's right.
All right, let's go back to this problem. The average of the 4 numbers is 25. So what's the first thing you did?
Figured out what 25 plus 25 is.
Yeah, 25 times 4 is 100. So you figured out the sum. So if the average of the 5 tests has to be 90, and what do you do
90,
next?
90 times 5.
Yeah, so then you have to figure out what the 5 tests have to add up to. What do they have to add up to?
40, 400.
Okay, so we don't want the average to be 90, 450. So it needs to be something divided by 5. So your sum, to figure out your sum, you multiply 90 times 5. So whenever they give you an average, then you automatically know the sum, okay? You can always figure out the sum. Just multiply the average times the number of numbers. So sum equals 450. So that's what his 5 tests have to add up to, right? Well, we don't know what his first 4 tests were, right? We just know the average of the first 4 tests. Okay. Well, if the average of first 4 tests is 89%, then what do you automatically know about the first 4 tests?
You got a good grade.
Pretty good. Not the A he was looking for.
No.
But you already know the sum. You just multiply 89 times 4. So this has to add up to 450. So we want to know what he wants to, on the 5th test. We don't know what he got on the first 4, but we do know the total of the first 4 is 89 times 4. Okay, so that's 356. You see how we got 356? Because we knew that the average of 4 numbers was 89. So the sum of the 4 numbers is 356. We just multiply. So that's needed to be added to this mystery test score to get 450. So how do you figure out that missing test score, Adeline?
450 minus 355.
All right, so subtract 356 from there. And let's see here. He needs, it looks like he needs a 94. I think you can do it, Grady. I think you can get that 94. Okay, so this is probably the most complicated question. And there will be something like that on one of your upcoming tests, okay? So you're gonna get some practice in your homework for questions like this. Make sure you take those seriously. If you still have questions, you can watch the video or you can come talk to me before you take that next test. But we will go over this when we do our test review. We'll go over a question like that again, okay? You guys feel all right about this? Okay. All right, let's move on to lesson 56. And then we'll be done. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a problem on the board. And the first one to get it gets a free problem set. But if you get it, if you're the second or third or fourth or fifth person, then you still get a Flack Attack coupon, okay?
Look how everyone's like mad dash circle out their book. Oh, yeah, all of that.
The stakes are too high, yeah.
Pencil.
Okay, and I'm going to do this twice. So I'm going to do, so you have 2 chances for a free problem set, okay? Here's the first one. Okay, so this is the time, right? I want to know this time subtracting, and I'm going to subtract a time. So let's say this is how many days to the, how much time to the minute I get the package that I ordered on Amazon. Okay, so let's say that this much time has gone by and I want to know how much time is left. 1 day, 15 hours, 40 minutes. So subtract these 2 times. And I want it in terms of days, hours, and minutes. So blank days, blank hours, blank minutes.
How many hours are in this second round?
15 hours. Get an answer? Not quite. Saw your hand go up first. Nope.
Oh,
Where is it? Right there. Nope.
can we do some intro? One. Ooh, I think.
Nope.
Could I?
Because there's more than,
Could I do a retry?
how many hours are in a day?
That's where I went wrong. Whoops. Mr. Kennedy, I think I can.
Nope. See why I chose the 3 problem set. Nope. Nope. Did you add? I think you added. Nope. Oh, oh,
Drink.
this is so fun to say. Oh, oh, wrong. Great. Should I go get a coffee?
Yeah. And I can look at your answer sheet here.
You could bring it with him.
That's the times. Oh. Oh. I didn't even look. Oh.
Oh God.
This is like
Mr. Flack.
their computer.
Here.
Nope. Yep.
Yeah. I figured out where I went
All
wrong.
right. Hey, guys, don't give up. You can still get a free Flack Pack coupon if you want to try it. So, Grady, don't share your answer. Nope. How'd you get 10 days?
What the?
I have no
Add
idea.
instead of you might add it.
You added like.
Oh, wait, I added. That's it. Yeah. I added.
Okay, take another minute or
Even
two.
if you added, I don't think you paid 10 days.
Alright.
So if you borrow that.
You wouldn't get
it
10
should
days
be
if you
down
added.
to 3. And then this one is 24. It's not 60 hours in a day. It's 24. That's right. So when you're timed like this, it gets a little stressful. Oh. And you can always just kind of do the math. You don't have to like do it the way I'm going to show you. Or you can just kind of figure it out. Close. But nope. All right, 30 more seconds.
I think I'm still doing this wrong, but it is right.
1 second. It's a good grade is 20.
I don't know.
We're in a time warp.
How'd you make
I
10 days? I'm so
don't
confused.
know.
There's no
Okay.
possible way. Even if you added, you could
All right.
get 10 days.
I'm moving in.
I don't know. I did something wrong.
So the answer was, what was it? 3 days
18 minutes and 30.
or 18 hours and 35 minutes?
18 hours.
Okay. All right. So here's the deal. We can't subtract. We cannot subtract these two numbers. So we have to borrow an hour. Okay. So how much, what is that in terms of minutes? What's an hour? So if I borrow an hour, then I have to add 60 minutes, right? Because you're borrowing an hour, you have to put that hour somewhere, right? So 15 plus 60 is 75 minutes. Okay, now I can subtract 75 minus 40 to get 35 or 20.
Wait.
75, no, yeah, 35 minutes. Scared me for a second there, Grady. I thought you got it wrong for a minute. All right, now can you subtract 9 minus 15?
No.
So you have to borrow a day.
That's where I got messed up my first time. I
Okay.
borrowed the day and then went straight to the hour, but I forgot to borrow the hour.
So you probably added 20, or you probably added 60. A lot of you guys added 60 hours. There's not 60 hours in a day. How many hours are in a day? 24. So this becomes 4 days. So you're adding 24 hours, which is 36 hours.
Yeah, I got
So far, so good?
Yeah.
So now subtract. What's 36 minus 15?
20.
Oh, wait. That's not 36. That's 33. Sorry. I'm adding 9 plus 24. I don't know why I got 36. So 33 minus 15 is 18 hours. And then you can just go 4 days minus 1 day, right? If you get to this point and you can't subtract that, then you can't subtract. Because that means that your top number is smaller than your bottom number, and you can't do that. You don't have negative time, right? 4 minus 3 is one.
Unless your package should already arrive.
Yeah. Okay, so Grady got a free problem set. This is your second chance to either get a free problem set or a Flack attack coupon. So you can still compete, Grady, and if you get it first, you just get a coupon. But and then the second place person would get free
I'm so
problem set.
happy Hunter's not here because he would have got it first.
Well, you never know that. Sometimes Hunter has an off day.
Yeah, like once in a million.
All right, ready? So this isn't days and hours and minutes. This is measurement, but we can do this. 4 yards, 3 inches, minus 2 yards. I'm going to make it easy for you. I'm going to line it up. 1 foot, 8 inches. So keep in mind, you're missing the feet in the top one. You're not really missing it. There's still a number there. So close.
Is that right?
So close. I'm gonna check on you last.
Mr. Flack?
Okay, I think I got it.
I think I got it.
Wait.
Nice.
Did I get it?
Yep.
That's what I
Yeah.
put. That's what I did. Oh.
Good job. When did you get it?
I got it before he said he got it.
Okay, so I'm gonna give them both to you. So I'll give both of you guys a free problem set. What'd you get? Not quite.
One yard.
That's it. Good.
Yes.
Okay, so
That's what I had reason. Look at mine.
I'm giving you a free Flack attack coupon. So, all right, who got it?
Me.
So, Dylan and Adeline, I'm giving you a free problem set. So now your points are up to, you have 18 points, so 118. So you have 3 free problem sets. Okay, and then Grace, you got it. Who else got it? Grady, you got it. What did you end up with, Maren?
Oh, I kind of gave up on now.
Okay, what did you end up with? What did you end up with, Elijah? Did you fix that last column? What'd you get? 1 yard, 1 foot, how many inches? Oh, okay. So, anyone else? Okay, let's do it. So basically, the first thing I'm going to do is put a 0 here. So this is kind of like, if these were numbers, it'd be 403 minus 218, right? Which is not even close to that because these are not 10s, right? These are 12s, these are 3s. So first thing we need to do is to borrow because we can't subtract 3 minus 8, right? So there's nothing to borrow here. So you have to borrow a yard first. So this becomes 3 feet right here, right? Now you can borrow from the 3 feet. Some of you just stopped here and just put 3 feet. So now I can borrow a foot and add 12 to this to make 15 inches. So now I can subtract 15 minus 8 is 7.
That's what took me the longest.
So do you see how you got 5?
Yeah.
Okay. And then so you just you put 10 inches instead of classic mistake. That's okay. 2 minus 1 is 1. 3 minus 2 is 1. 117, 1 yard, 1 foot, 7 inches. Okay, good job, guys. That's all I got today.
Black math, give me some math and I'll give you some flack. Black